4, 3, 2. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because somewhere around the world, that is truly what time it is. I'm your host. I'm the dopest man on the planet. I go by Tony X. Today's show, as you can see the title, we got terrorists at the border. If you've been a supporter of my channel, you've watched me cover a ton of content on how it would be easy for terrorists to launch a terrorist attack by simply coming across an unsecured border. Before we get into that, we're going to get into this. Please be mindful this show is for 18 years of age and older. All copyright laws will be respected, but this show is intended to use the Fair Use Act of it. Thank you very much. As you all are aware, the KKK of big techs, which is Google and YouTube, as well as Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, have been censoring me. And although you can still find me at Montaga on Parler, on Gab, on Rumble, and on Instagram and Twitter, I also suggest that you follow me on Telegram, which is Montaga1. That's right, Montaga1, the number 1. I suggest you all find me on Telegram today. I hope that you take this content, you share this content, and you also put a like on this content. Let's get this content out there and let's help build this channel. And without further ado, let's get to the show.
Is the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul. Illuminati wanna take it. This is the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul. Illuminati wanna take it.
CEO, bullshit, paying for the pussy, I endorse it, riding through the city, that's my office, so much money that you gon' need a forklift. Forget all rapping and riddles, click loud to your temple, trusting that girl, me, I play it official, I'm stroking that cat like a fiddle, emotions are killing, that's why I'm tougher than Brillo, I turn your old girl to a widow, then kill her for zero, throw her ass out of a window, smoking on Cali Drake.
All right, so you've seen before, if you are a true supporter of my channel, you've seen me talk about the border and why it's very important to secure the border, because terrorists can come across on the border and do some real devastating things to United States citizens. And lo and behold, the DOJ is hiding the fact that terrorists are being caught coming across the border. Now just imagine how many of these terrorists we didn't catch.
Dick Cheney also said just one needs to get through to create a problem. So do you think it's overreacting to report about terrorists being caught at the border? And why did Homeland Security delete the press release about it?
Well, Homeland Security has done a lot of things, kind of gag orders, unofficially. They didn't want us to take pictures in some of these facilities. They don't want to talk about people being apprehended that are on the terrorist watch list or the no-fly list. They don't want folks to know about what's going on down there because they know it is an absolute crisis, and it is stemmed directly from the policies that...
Because Biden's policies allows child sex traffickers to move about unimpeded. When you have thousands of unaccompanied minors coming to your borders, this gives a ton of criminals the opportunity to snatch up a bunch of kids and do God knows what with them. When you have adults that are coming here and coming across private property, you are storing a pot up of gunshot shells and dead bodies. I can't go on someone's private property, prowling on it, and not be held accountable. if you're on Instagram and they're trying to kick you out, make sure you come back. They do not want you to see the content. These people are very racist. Aside from being very racist, these people are the devil. This is the only reason why these people work in concert together to censor platforms that are bringing you a difference of opinion, let alone just the truth. When it doesn't fit their narrative, when you don't go by what they want you to say, when you are, especially someone who's black, when you go by your own deductive reasoning, they will deem you a threat and they will do everything they can in their power to remove you off their platform. Now, I'm waiting for a platform to get back to me so we can launch my podcast. And there are a lot of conservatives I've seen that use this platform as well. So moving forward, I'm waiting for them to reach out to me. Hopefully we'll have our podcast going and we'll have a daily podcast going there, and I'll pretty much be able to say anything that I want to say, and I'll be able to bring you guys the coverage that I want up until the point that we can raise the $6,000 needed to finish off the project that we're trying to get accomplished. The sad thing in all of this is that I got a lot of supporters. I got a lot of people who say they support me, but we don't really see it. You know, I see you guys go out your way again to support a lot of these fake conservatives, all these uppity conservatives, all the Carlton Bankses, and I just don't see the same effort when it comes to people who are out here telling you guys the absolute truth. Donald J. Trump is a billionaire. And I've watched people who are poor donate and help him try to reach what he could to help, Americans. And I think that because you guys see me with gold on my neck, somehow you think that I got it, or maybe I don't deserve it. And when you talk to some people try to make it about color, and I just don't think it's about that. I think that ultimately it's about a lot of people viewing, because a lot of you people who view aren't really supporters. You're just people who don't necessarily like me very much. I mean, I'm starting to think that, other than me having people who do support, because the people who do support religiously support the channel. So when I look at the donations, even with my senatorial race, and I think about all of the people out there that have been grifting you guys for the longest, and how you just keep shelling out money to them, it makes it very difficult to want to continue to run this race, to do the content, to put the content out there, or even to be a voice for the conservative movement. Because why? For what reason? For what? Because the people who are speaking the truth aren't rewarded. They aren't looked after. People don't care. They don't care. They don't care. People just don't care. People don't care at all. And I think that people tend to forget that I worked hard for everything that I got. So if I've watched people give a billionaire president thousands of dollars for his campaign, I'm wondering what the hell is going on if you guys are really trying to save these inner cities, if you guys are really trying to save this country. Because currently the J man, he's not well, the Trump man, the T man, he's not running. So the only person you have currently running that's speaking the truth is talking to you now. He's the guy that is speaking to you now. Is it because you don't like the way that I dress? Then you have a problem. You need to look in the mirror, because when you talk about the left, you need to add yourself to that equation. Because if by looking by me by appearance, if that's the reason why you don't want to donate, you're a bigot and you're prejudiced. And you need to put yourself with the left and put yourself over there in that category, because that's where you belong. That's where you belong. This is how people dress where I'm from. This is how you actually engage these individuals. This is what makes these people warm up to me. I'm not running around here with the butt naked baby rapist face. I'm not always in a suit. And I got great suits, the best suits money could buy. But I'm not always in a suit. Because who is always in a suit? These guys that are on TV, that are on the news, even the guy on the screen right now, if he's not in his office, if he's in his house office, he could literally have that shirt, that tie on, and that blazer. and have boxers on under. Most of these guys on the news, they wear a shirt, a tie, and a blazer, and they got jeans on under. But I've watched as you give millionaire politicians tons of money so they can continue to lie and grift to you. Tons of these conservative talking heads who say the most asinine things out their mouths. I just seen that Candace Owens text Noel. How did she get her number? The Republican Party is now giving out Republicans' numbers? How is Candace Owens going to help stop the Second Amendment money grab? She's not even an elected official. They keep pushing people we don't want. And no one is getting it. And you wonder why we're in the place we're in right now is because you keep asking for it. What the hell can she do? Nothing. Nothing. She's from Connecticut. She's not going to run in Connecticut. No one's going to support her there. She's not in any impoverished communities whatsoever, changing the mind state of these individuals. She would never be able to walk into Minnesota and go talk to rioters and tell them to stop. Put me there. Put me there. I guarantee if I got $1,000 in donations, I would go there this week. I would go there and I would talk to the rioters, and you would see me go there, talk to the rioters, and you would see me change a lot of people's perception, and you wouldn't see me be attacked by nobody. So why aren't we rewarding the people that are taking these steps to do these things? Do we really care? This border is open, wide open. A nuclear weapon weighs about 2,500 pounds. The main component in order to use a nuclear weapon is the size of a baseball. We are catching terrorists at the border. Do you know how many have slipped by? How many could be living right next door to you? And they got this fucking joke, excuse my language, they got this joke texting Republicans talking about a Second Amendment money. Why aren't you talking to your elected officials? You should be talking to your senators. They're the final people that have say in these bills. You keep falling for these distractions by the people on the right and the left. They're all part of the same dirty bird. And you don't see it. I'm not going to be on none of these people's channels. Because first of all, they would never want to debate me. Second of all, they don't want anybody on their platform that's going to actually speak the truth. Not just talking points. For the right. No one has their hands up my anus. I'm nobody's puppet. So I'm not going to go by talking points. I'm not going to just agree with you on everything you're saying. The right does not reach out to the urban communities whatsoever. They use none of their resources to go into these communities to help change the mind state of these individuals for the better. They ignore them. Just like they ignored, and when I mean urban communities, I also mean what you would call trailer parks. The only person who spoke to these people was Donald Trump. And the Republicans used him. And as soon as they got the opportunity, after January the 6th, they all but turned their backs on him. Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, all of them. All of them turned their backs on him. Crenshaw, all of them. The only person who stood tall, they're trying to call a rapist. And he already proved he's not. Jim Jordan is the only other person besides Matt Gaetz that stood tall. Maybe a few others. But we've watched as the most prominent Republican leaders turned their backs on the president. They used him to get reelected. They used him to fundraise, to sell books, and then they gave him their anus to kiss. The only person in politics that spoke to everybody was Donald J. Trump. My man's not in office right now. As of right now, he's not in office. Where is your legislated officials at? Where is this body of people who you elected to speak for you? Where are they? They could care less about you having your Second Amendment rights, because all of them that were in Congress had no bearings on all of those gates being erected and being put up. They meant to keep you out. So when they turn tyrannical, they have barriers and bars to keep you from them. I said we needed $6,000. I have hundreds of thousands of followers. I can't even understand this. Like, how much of my own money do I need to? It costs $100,000 in order to have these things built. I said we needed $6,000. How much of my money do I got to put in this? How much of my resources do I need to take away from my family? My mother's in a wheelchair. My mother's disabled. So I got to stop paying some of her rent in order to help out? I'm just asking. How much of myself do I need to go out and I need to actually exert in order to get this done? I hear people talking about the truth all the time. People talking about freedom all the time. But when it comes to it, I just don't see people really wanting it. I see you wanting a good bedtime story so someone can just keep rocking you to sleep. You can say the wrong thing on any one of these platforms and they're taking you down. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. They removed the president of these United States of America. I had a ton of people go support. And a ton, I'm only saying like 12, maybe 12 people, 20 people went and bought t-shirts. Maybe 12 people. So aside from the manufacturer, all of that money goes to my campaign. Pays the staff that works for the campaign. I don't get a salary. I've never filed for a salary. Check the filings. I did not get a salary. Nor did I put in for a salary now. How much of myself do I need to actually exert for you guys? How can I even help you? How can I help Donald Trump in 2024? Or somebody, if he does decide not to run, or somebody to actually be put in place that's going to be the president for us if I'm not a sitting senator? How can I put pressure on any one of these people if I'm not a sitting senator? Why is it that you keep allowing these networks to ignore what we've done? We made history. I ran as a write-in candidate and raised $140,000. That has never been done in New York State history. Never. It's never been done. We made history. We fed the homeless. We put thousands of kids in position to have school book bags, pencils and pens and notebooks to go to school. We've given hundreds of kids Christmas. We've given hundreds of kids sneakers and coats and outfits. We made history. How can I back legislators that are doing the right thing, like they've done in Georgia with voting rights, if we don't even have enough money in the coffers to move around this country and speak freely? Joe Biden is a criminal. His son is a pedophile, a criminal, a money man, the bag man for the man. And currently he's sick. He's sick. They put the guy up there because they knew they could control him. Then they run Kamala Harris. She was the most disliked person up there. These people have 5, 6 people standing outside when they're coming by with their motorcades. Donald Trump has so many people. So many people. I mean, thousands, tens of thousands of people. He has thousands of people waiting for him when he's coming from playing golf. That's not the most. Joe Biden isn't the most popular president in history. He's the most controllable puppet. We're watching our nation be dissolved in front of us. And the people that can go into these urban communities, to these rural areas, and actually speak to people to engage them and bring them on our side is being ignored the most. People ask me, why don't I go speak? Why don't I? How much of myself do I have to exert? $2 million. $2 million. That's what I shelled out last election cycle. Cash money. Didn't write it down. Didn't ask for nobody to help. I call Noelle in here right now. And Noelle will come in here and I'll ask Noelle, what's the number that was spent on the last election? She's going to say $2 million. You know how much it costs to run an election? $140,000 is 1 week of pay for staff. $2 million. We're already $500K in. And we haven't even raised 10% of that. How much of my wealth do I need to sell in order to try to fight for my children and your children? Because you don't want to go in these neighborhoods and talk to these people. And for those that want to donate, you can see the PayPal information on the screen below me right now. You can see the Venmo information below me on the screen right now. You can see all the information you can to donate to this channel under me right now. And if you want to donate to my political campaign, you can go to www.tucker.vote. I'm fighting for my kids, for your kids. You don't want to be brave enough to be singled out by these people. You don't want these people watching you the way they watch me. You don't want to wake up and get death threats and people saying that they're going to harm you. You don't want to deal with these things. So why is it okay that I do it and I don't have some sort of backup? I mean, for God's sake, some sort of backup. We know these people kill people, right? We know that, right? We're well aware of that, right? How can I stop Bill Gates if I don't have no war chest to go to war against Bill Gates? I no longer have millions of dollars to shell out. I don't even have $1 million cash right now. So how am I going to continue to go to war against these people? How? I watch you guys send a ton of money to millionaire politicians who could fund their own political campaigns if they wanted to. And I watch you buy their books that says the same rhetoric over and over again. They cry about how things are bad and how the left is unhinged and this, that, and the third. And how did they get that way? These same politicians allowed it to happen. Stood by, sat on their hands, and did absolutely nothing. As these people gained more control and more control by fear-mongering, by distortion, by extortion, and by violent tactics. How many crisis actors do we need to continue to see? How many government-funded shootings do we need to see happen? How many more Jeff Epsteins do we need to see so-called kill themselves in prison? I was in that building. I'm a master barber. I traveled throughout that whole entire building. Those cameras are behind a metal box with a very thick plexiglass that's plated there. It's impossible for anybody to go and tilt those cameras. You have to have you have to have the ability to have maintenance go there, undrill that box, and tilt that camera down so the camera can't see. You haven't even heard anything about the COs that allowed it to so-called happen. They seem to just disappear off the face of the planet. You've seen and heard doctors say that he had his neck broken. That doesn't happen from hanging yourself. It happens from being strangled to death. You don't hear much about the bag woman, Maxine. You don't hear much about the bag woman, Maxine. As they continue to quietly push along her trial date, push along the evidence so they can go ahead and let her go free. I was in that building. When you're on suicide watch, even when you're a high-powered criminal, there is somebody watching you. In that area where he was, there was supposed to have been a corrections officer that was sitting and watching down that tier. They killed them. You don't want to walk in my shoes. You don't want to live my life. You don't want to have to stay up until 5 in the morning so someone can wake up at 5 that has a license to have firearms so they can be up while you sleep from 5 to 8 or 9 a.m. if you can stretch it to 9:30 so you can be up and get a certain amount of sleep. You don't want to live that life. You don't want to live that life. You don't want to have secret cameras all in and around your house that are motion detectors because you need to watch who is coming from what end and from what area. You don't want to live that life. You don't. You don't want to live that life. Everybody wants to live a peaceful, long life. And some of us are willing to die telling the truth. I am no Malcolm X. I am Tony X. I'm no Martin Luther King. I'm Tony X. But didn't we see enough of these brothers get murdered already? Haven't we seen enough of the greats die already? Haven't we seen them suffer already? Why aren't we protecting the great ones now? Why aren't we doing what we can do for the great ones now? What other conservatives you see go outside and feed homeless veterans? How many? How many go out of their way to go to different parts of the state to talk to people? How many? How many of them you seen jump in front of an Antifa mob in order to help other citizens that are conservatives and they didn't ask for any thank yous or anything else? You would never see nobody on the conservative side jump into an Antifa mob by themselves to stop an Antifa mob from jumping on a conservative. They wouldn't want to be there. And the only person I can think that come to mind to think of is Beverlyn. That's about it. Shout out to Beverlyn. Hey, baby girl, I'm no longer cursing. I know you like that. But how many? How many are really street soldiers? How many are really getting out here and actually working on behalf of the people? How many have the capability to talk to people in these impoverished areas that aren't conservatives that are believing the far left rhetoric, how many of them have the capability to turn them around and bring them to the middle? There's a reason why these people won't say my name. They don't want to unleash the Kraken. And not the one that the sister was talking about. I'm talking about Tony X. The guy that when his platform isn't suppressed, when they can no longer suppress it, that guy right there will have millions upon millions of young people listening to everything he's saying and saying he's absolutely right. We need to stop destroying our neighborhoods. We need to start pulling our resources together, and we need to start saving people in our communities and in our neighborhoods. We need to put our guns down, and we need to go handle our aggression in a boxing gym. Or we need to just say, I'm sorry, and let bygones be bygones, because I want to live. I want to kiss my mama tomorrow. I want to see my kids grow up. We got terrorists at the border. How many of them has moved into your neighborhoods now? How many more George Soros funded organizations will be added to the list of America's self-destruction? Because right now, they are worms eating the apple from the inside out. And it's working. Support the channel. All the information is below. That is the PayPal below. That's the Venmo below. You can support the campaign by going to www.tucker.vote. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay American. And remember, middle finger to both sides. Because they're two dirty wings on a very dirty, dirty, dirty